With the Pixel Watch 4, we've now had the 45mm sizing for 2 generations. But how are we still seeing problems? Elastic is still my absolute preferred material for basically 99% of usage. But my favourite band from the previous video may have gotten a little boring and plain. So surely there are nicer options around. First off, let me just quickly hit the flaws in this one that only really appeared after a fair bit of usage. It'll also act as a solid baseline for other elastic bands, as it is still absolutely fine. So yeah, those negatives. It's a bit plain looking. It holds onto the band with just a thin watch pin. And it has to be stretched over your hand to put it on, which in turn means it frequently loosens, requires retightening, and sometimes the pin just pops off under the pressure. So with that, some of the fancier looking options caught my eye on Amazon. First up, Stretchy with a metal clasp. The attachment to the Pixel Watch is metal, as are all of the tested bands, but the quality control was a bit average on this one, with the first needing to be replaced with only one side actually attaching to my 45mm Pixel Watch 3. Compared to the cheap option, it makes the larger Pixel Watch feel even bigger, as the lugs are just longer. But they also feel more secure. It may be too much for smaller wrists though. The metal clasp is interesting to look at and easy to undo, but even after 2 weeks of usage, I just couldn't get the hang of easily clipping it back together, always feeling awkward and finicky. The metal also surrounds the band, bringing it into contact with the skin. This gets pretty uncomfortable when the elastic is worn reasonably tight, forcing you to give it a bit more slack before finding the sweet spot. At least it can be loosened while worn, with the biting clip on the top side, but since it's exposed, it can also be knocked and come loose when just going about the day. Overall, a decent but awkward band. Then we come to a similar concept, but improved with magnets. Much of this band is the same as the previous, from the bigger lugs to the metal underside, and that poor quality control. First one? Nope. Second? Nah. And at last, third time lucky. At least Amazon makes swaps easy, I guess. And it was worth it too, as it improves on the last option in almost every way. Easy to remove and attach with those magnets, and while not as interesting to look at, pretty sleek. It still can't be worn too tight due to that metal contact, but it does feel secure once you find the sweet spot. The biting clip is on the underside too, which makes it less likely to accidentally loosen. Overall, a great elastic option, assuming your wrist is up for the big lugs. Then we have what I thought would be another kind of stretch band, but it's really just nylon with a small amount of stretch, advertised as a sports band. And what made me think it was closer aligned to a stretch band is its visual similarities to the Google Stretch Band. The cool feature of this one though is one side is all Velcro loops, and then on the other has some Velcro hooks, allowing for very versatile and easy attachment and sizing. This band's lugs are solid, secure, and relatively compact, keeping the device size down. The material looks nice, feels breathable, and remains comfortable during a workout, even with a bit of sweat. and it dries pretty easily after a quick rinse. My issue with this one though, for casual use, when the band is comfortably loose, part of the band looks awkwardly loose. To wear it tight enough to look streamlined is just too tight for every day. Plus, that Velcro can start attracting hair if you live with pets. And while I had no issue with the band not attaching to the 45mm Pixel watch, like the previous two options, it isn't perfect either, being a bit too loose, which adds a bit of rattle to movements. Overall, a surprisingly versatile and useful band though, that I didn't expect I would have liked for sports as much as I did. And lastly, another sports band, but one that directly rips off an official band. And just like the proper thing, had no issues with attachments and felt secure with no rattle either. Quality felt great, was plenty breathable for workouts, and really just felt like Google's included silicone straps. But then it couldn't be entirely perfect, with my one nitpick being the length. Maybe it can be found with options on some stores, as I would typically expect large and small lengths. Most obvious when checking the differences, with both being included with the stock band. With only large apparently available here though, I find the extra length that needs to be tucked in rather uncomfortable. Just like the stock band, it gets tucked on the inside, which looks clean, but messes with the fit. Especially if you have hair there and are trying to make it as tight as possible for a workout. But otherwise, if you're okay with the full length, or can find a small option, this band is great at a fraction of the official price. As for favourites, my new regulars are the magnet option for everyday and the Velcro for workouts. It was just too versatile not to. And that's it for this round. Maybe with another year of 45mm watches this year, sizing issues will become a thing of the past. Not holding my breath though.